Okay, I'm gonna give you my Facebook over here.
Now it's time for Straight on the Point with Jesse T. from some undisclosed location somewhere in the world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Jesse T.
On another Soul Wednesday in the city.
You know what's going on here? What's going on is I got Dan the Man in the car with me in the Great Ghost. This is Jesse T Show, and we're out here catching the vibe today. We are driving around Los Angeles. We've got a couple of hot spots we're going to go to and show you some cool things. But I gave Dan the Man my other phone, and he's got Facebook up and going. Say hi. Wait a minute. Wait, can they hear you over there, Dan the Man?
I don't know. Hello.
I think they can. What does everybody say? Oh yeah, boy, everybody's got you on over there, and we're here on Skype here on the powervoices.com.
I dream of Jesus.
You see what I do is I give Dan the Man something to do, and it keeps him preoccupied and out of my hair. That's what I do. So he's like a big kid right now. He's playing with the music, right? And he's sitting in the Great Ghost dancing in his pants, and he's got Facebook Live on at facebook.com/Jesse Torrero. And hi guys, I'm over here on this one here. You see? Show him this one here. Show him this one here. Yeah, you gotta turn that way. Yeah. See? Oh, okay. Where is it at? Oh, there it is. Yeah, okay, there we are. Wait a minute. I think our phones are about ready to do some hugging and kissing there for a second. Good to have you along with me, Jesse T, and Dan the Dancing Man in the car, squeezing those butt cheeks.
Every day's a soul day on KBLA.
KPLA, man. I haven't heard that station in a long time. The Big Lake Boiler, baby.
The Boy Boyners are back on the air.
That's where Humble Harv got in trouble, and my godfather hit him out. Yeah, they're all old guys, so it's just cool. See, now look at that. See, you can twist yours around. Rotate your device. Okay. Well, let me see. What's it say? No, don't get sick now. That's right. All right, we're all right. Yes, this is like mayhem and confusion going on right now in the same sentence. Yeah.
Pandemonium has struck.
Look at. Sometimes we tell you we don't bring you the best entertainment in the world, but we bring you some kind of entertainment every day on the Jesse T Show. What does that say? You can't rotate. What does that say? Oh, I guess you got to keep it the other way, Dan the Man. Yeah. Yeah, so you got to play with it there, and you're in charge of that camera. Okay. Who's on with us over there? Well, who's there?
Mike Lewis, Hampton Mike Lewis.
Mike Hampton Lewis is up with us.
Prima Jeannie Ambrose.
Uh-huh. And who else?
And it says bring them on camera.
Oh, bring them on camera? Well, if you bring them on camera, then it's a little more complicated than that. We'll bring them on camera. They do want to come on camera. Well, it's a little more complicated than that. Okay. So we're sitting here on Riverside Drive, and we are at a location. Right behind us, there's this big, giant fountain on Riverside Drive in Los Feliz. And it was used in many, many motion pictures here in the 30s and 40s and 50s because the fountain was used to light up with different colors and everything. They don't even turn the water on now, Dan the Man. You know why? Because the homeless.
Because of the drought.
No, the homeless. They go and take a bath in it, and they go pee and poo. So they turned it off. They don't even turn it on anymore because of that. So we're going to go head off to a little nostalgia. We're going to show you. Don't worry about that. Yeah, that's you probably, right? Don't worry about it. We got like 3 phones. We're like the old Bell telephone.
There was even a drive-in by the fountain.
There was a drive-in over here? Oh yeah, that's the big open parking lot now.
I think it's the entrance to the freeway. going south.
That's where the driving was, right on the river, basically?
Right here.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's right. It was right under the Glendale Bridge. The bridge right there, right. So we're going to roll down the street right now, and I'm going to do my best to talk and drive and turn the music down just a little bit. Hopefully you can hear me. And we're going to our first destination down there, man.
Right on, so you don't be left off.
Yeah, we're gonna go to our first destination, and that is we're gonna go check out one of the most infamous radio stations in the world. It was one of the first radio stations in Los Angeles, as we're catching the vibe every Wednesday. Dan the Man, the Road Dog King, Dancing Man. That's right, the ladies man. He's hanging out with me. We catch the vibe somewhere in Los Angeles. We never know where we're going to be, but we're going to be catching the vibe to see what's going on, especially as summertime rolls around here and the sun stays up to about 8:30, 9 o'clock. Well, about 8:30 it goes down. Right now it's staying up to 7:30. So, and that's kind of cool because the temperatures are warmer. And you know what that means, Dan the Man? When the temperatures get warmer. Bikini weather on 3. 1, 2, 3. Bikini weather.
I used to be able to look in a girl's eyes and predict weather. Whether or not.
Is that like maybe Chu Man 2?
Yes.
Yes, we were going to go to Chinatown today, but, yours truly, me, Jesse T, I got sidetracked. I was doing some heavy-duty real estate business, and Dan's giving you, like, the flavor of the drive here in the great
panorama.
He's going the 360 on me, and I'm keeping you here on this camera. Hey, guys, you can go check us out over there at facebook.com/Jesse Torrero, and you'll see a different point of view, because we got 2 cameras going here, and Dan the Man's holding that one, and I got this one here on the Power of Voices on Facebook, facebook.com/The Power of Voices, and on YouTube, that's Jesse Torrero. Just put Jesse Torrero channel, and YouTube will come up. You can hit it there, and we really want you to go to that channel. I'm going to start posting up the right website. I found out I was posting up the wrong website for the YouTube channel.
Oh, no, Mr. Bill.
Yeah, remember Mr. Bill on Saturday Night Live? Oh, it's Mr. Bill.
No, Mr. Bill.
No. I can't get that high anymore. I used to be able to get that high, but I can't get my pitch up there. It must be this beautiful, dark, deep voice that I'm getting now, huh? Anyway, we're rolling down the road here, and this is Riverside Drive, and if you brought up 2 screens on in your computer, you can see Riverside Drive is really wide here because there used to be no freeway off to my left.
And there used to be racing, hot rod racing.
Right here.
Illegal hot rod racing.
Right here, because there was no streets in there, and they would race here.
A quarter mile.
And right off to the left here is the freeway. That wasn't there, of course. That was known as the river, the LA River, and there actually was a river that flowed down there year-round when it wasn't under control. There actually was. And off to the right here, up above here, where Dan the Man's showing the other camera, that's where the trolley system was. They used to have a train and subway here in Los Angeles, and you just come barreling right through there. That's why you have that big cement up there. That was one side of the retainer wall, where the railroad tracks used to be up on the other side. And right over here, the tracks used to go over a bridge here. You posted up a lot of pictures about that on my site.
At one time, yes.
Yes, and it was really interesting to see, but there actually was a good transit system here in Los Angeles at one time. Not like the subway now that takes you nowhere.
And now there's just graffiti.
That's all there is graffiti. And we're going to stop off at Ruben Soto's mural, and it's beautiful. It's the mural that had Sylvester Stallone and his son who was murdered because Ruben Soto grew up with Sylvester Stallone's son. They were pals from childhood on, and then it had Ruben and his daughter. She's on there.
Storm.
And then a pastor and his wife from the church that was just around the corner there. As we get to Echo Park. We're also going to stop by Echo Park because Echo Park's kind of cool now. They've really changed it. So we're going to catch a vibe over there and ask some folks some questions about what they think about living in Los Angeles and what they think about the homeless and what they think about how the area over there in Echo Park is changing. So we're catching the vibe today and kind of going to be all over the area. Hopefully on Skype we're not blowing the signal up too badly here. I know on Facebook it's a nice strong signal because it's more direct.
And Ruben Soda's doing a movie called Smile Now, Cry Later.
That's right. There's a movie that he's going to be doing, and Dan the Man's going to be in it. And I think that maybe this actor Shell, he looks like Wolfman.
Yes,
he's
the
gonna
Shell.
Yeah, the Shell's going to be in it. So we're headed off now to KDAY. We're going to get over there in a second. And the infamous station, let me tell you about that. We recently had a party, all the KDA original guys, at least the guys that were still living from the very late 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. Because in the 90s, KDA in 1991 was sold to a Fred Sands, a realtor. He shut it down, turned it into a news channel, and then he sold it off to some Korean buyers, and then they sold it off to some Latino buyers, and then it was sold again to some more Korean buyers. So that's what's happening there with that station ownership. But when I was there during the 80s, it was really cool, man. It was kind of the last of the heyday at KD. We brought hip-hop and rap to the world and made a commercial. We were the only station. We really blazed a lot of trails, and everybody who came through there was you know, fresh and new and young, and they laid their mark here in Los Angeles. All the East Coast guys would come through there. Everybody came through K-Day. When you came to LA, you had to come through K-Day. That was like the station to be to. Broke so many hits, so many records, so many artists. Just everybody. We got a chance to have a little reunion party at the Hollywood Roosevelt last week, I believe it was, 2 weeks ago. Hey, Becky Romero's on with us, and Jeffrey Sowers. Alma Santiago. Hey, Alma Santiago. I sold her a house. I sold Alma Santiago a condo in Lakeview Terrace about 20 years ago. That's my girl, Alma Santiago. Hey, how you doing, Alma? Hopefully things are going well for you. And Donna Nelson. Hey, Donna Nelson's on, and Jamie Ambers is on. I know Donna Nelson. I've known Donna for a long time, too.
And over here on the right-hand side used to be a Curry's Ice Cream.
It was an ice cream?
At the corner, yes.
Where Arco is, right there?
Right here.
Oh, right here. This was an ice cream parlor?
Yes, right.
Really?
Next building down.
Because we were going...
right here.
See, because right above us...
Curry's Ice Cream,
see,
a mile
look at the stairs over there. See, right here was where the train went over the top of us. Yeah, so that...
The red car.
Yeah, the red car. There was an ice cream parlor there?
Yes, Curry's Ice Cream.
Wow. Very cool. What kind of ice cream did they have?
The great one was pistachio almond.
Pistachio almond sounds good. I like that, man. So we're coming into, this is like Los Feliz area. Silver Lake will be off to the right. And Silver Lake was a very famous lake because that was one of the first reservoirs up here. In fact, Silver Lake Reservoir was there before the Hollywood Reservoir was there. And they used to actually have it open, and you could go fishing in there, and you could walk around the lake. But what they found out is that people were swimming, and people were throwing trash in. This is way back in the 1940s, the 1950s. And Silver Lake was known as Pill Hill. In fact, the reason why Silver Lake was known as Pill Hill, guys, when you ever get down in this area, is because this is where all the doctors originally lived in Los Angeles. All the doctors lived up here, and because you had the medical center over here, and you had the hospital Queen of Angels, which was over here too. And so this was known as Pill Hill, and this was a really swanky, rich, super wealthy neighborhood back in the 1920s, the late teens, and 1930s and 40s. It's changed.
It also used to be Tom Mixville.
That's right, right in through here.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't Tom Mix live in this area?
Yes.
He had a ranch up here, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, because Tom Mix, the first superstar cowboy. In fact, Wyatt Earp taught Tom Mix how to be a cowboy. Did you know that?
Yes, and he was still working here in the early 1900s.
Yeah, look in the camera when you tell them those things.
Why?
Because they want to see Dan. No, they want to see Dan the Man.
They're not interested in me.
They're interested in you. Yes, they are.
I'm just an old palooka.
Are you a Mama Luke?
Yes.
Yeah, you keep showing. You're getting people confused and dizzy. Slower, man, slower. That's what she said.
Sorry,
slower.
guys.
So yeah, but you keep showing me.
Well, you're the host.
Yeah, that loves you the most, baby.
The hostess with the mostest.
Yeah, I got the frosting ready to go, red hot and rolling. Okay, so yeah, this was Tom Mixville. Tom Mix was the first cowboy, movie star cowboy. Started in the silent era, and then got into the when talkies first came out. And Warner Brothers created the talkies. And he had a ranch up here. Believe it or not, he had a ranch, something like 25 acres up here. Yeah, it's hard to believe that up here there was open land at one time. It's really hard to believe. But the reason why Tom Mix was here, because one of the first studios was just down on the other side of this little hill we're going up. It was Max Sennett's studios, the guy that created the Keystone Cowboy, the Keystone Cops. Max Sennett, one of the great comedic actors. He was also a owner of a studio, and his studio is right here. His first big studio, one of the first studios, one of the first handful of studios here in Hollywood, the Max Sennett Studios, and we're going to drive kind of right past it because you guys will be aware of Don Cornelius. Now, if that name doesn't ring a bell, to many of the baby boomers and the Generation X, Don Cornelius, who are watching and listening today, rings a bell because Don Cornelius was that cool dude that was the owner and creator and the host of Soul Train. Soul Train. That was on every day. I used to love watching Soul Train, especially when the girls would get up there and do the dancing down the line.
Do the line dance.
Did you know that Soul Train was the number one TV show in all the state penitentiaries across the nation?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know why?
Because they were butt pirates.
They were digging the boogaloo, baby.
Looking for some booty.
Oh boy, they would do that. Now, if you kind of look off this way, I can't change my camera angle here, but on Facebook.com/, you'll see 6 giant antennae up to the left. That's the antennas for KTNT. Now, if you see this building, it's a used storage place. We're going to come up right behind Jack in a Box. You're going to see there's a building with a gray roof. See that big building right there with a gray roof? That was Max Sennett's studio. We're going to get stuck here in traffic. But you see that old building right there? That now is a storage facility. But right there, that was a studio for Max Sennett. I'll see if I can turn it around and show you here. See the Jack in the Box, guys? And that studio right over there, that where the metal roof is? Well, that was not a metal roof during Max Sennett's time. But you see, it's all made out of brick for sound quality. That's how they used to make the studios, out of solid brick and block, and then they reinforce it with very dense and thick cement because it ate up the sound, which is what you need in a soundstage. And that was Max Sennett's studio. Now, Don Cornelius and Soul Train, he was going to buy that. He was going to buy it when it was for sale and move Soul Train right there, but then he didn't buy it, and then it fell into great disarray, and then there's a public storage place. But you can see the studio and how it was. That was Max Sennett's first studio, and Don Cornelius, the Soul Train, was going to buy that. He even negotiated a price, but he didn't. It didn't work out for him. And then not too long after that, Soul Train kind of fizzled out. You know, that's when kind of MTV was kicking in. And MTV kind of took precedence over TV was on. It was, hey, say hi to Paula. Hey, Paula. And Jason D has us on. And so, hey, thanks a lot. You see, we got two cameras going. We got the camera for Dan the Man. Say hi, Dan the Man.
Hi.
Oh, look at the camera and say hi, Dan the Man.
Hi.
Gosh, I got to teach this guy camera work, you know. He's been hanging around with me for years.
I want my MTV.
You know, don't you like the camera stuff? Come on there, buddy. Yes, all right.
I'm blinded by the light.
Blinded by the light. Remember that song?
That's why I threw that in.
Yes, yeah. Don't say it the way you think it's said. It's not douche. Let's see what's on the radio right now. Oh, this is a good song.
We gotta work it out, baby.
Yeah. Getting you ready because we're going to go up the hillside here if I can get past this crazy traffic. Used to be able to make a U-turn here, but you can't. We're going to go up the hillside to K-Day and kind of go explore up there and see what we see. But this is
a view of downtown.
Yeah, you got downtown LA and the brand new building. You can see that building. They say that's the tallest building in Los Angeles, guys.
The city.
Yeah, but it isn't. It's just got an antenna that goes up higher than the building to the left. You can kind of see it over there. That building is actually taller.
I think De La Hoya's in there.
They cheated. They
The
cheated.
USA Tower building.
Is he in there? That's his office? That's Golden Boy?
Johnny Law.
Johnny Law. 10-4.
Must have,
1AM12, 459 in progress.
KMA 367, code 2.
Roger, code 2, 1AM12 on the way. ETA, 5 minutes. Oh. That's our police action for the day. Okay.
You used to be able to take Scott Avenue here to Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, that's the back way. Scott Avenue right here that was the shortcut way. There's no stadium access anymore, and the reason why they did that is because they had a lot of car break-ins coming in from this side, because the neighborhood up here at Echo Park, right, so right over here, over this way is Silver Lake, the start kind of the end of Silver Lake, and over here on this side of the camera, over here, this is Echo Park. And Echo Park, after the 1950s, after the 1960s, it turned into a ghetto. And by the time the 1980s and 90s, 2000s rolled around, it was just an awful condition. They had a lot of...
Linda Burtick.
Hey, Linda, she's in town. Sophia Van's there too. Linda Fettig in town. I'm spitting all the way down the man. Linda Fettig, she's the mom of Lisa French. Yeah, Lisa and Linda. Yeah, that's
I never knew that.
Now you know. Hang on with me long enough, you'll learn
You have a
something.
lovely daughter. Mrs. Brown, I love your daughter. Hermits.
Oh, yeah. Single. Single. This is a great song. All right, we're gonna try to do some backstreet action here.
Does everything back-asswards.
Or ass backwards?
Yes.
Because see, there used to be a street here. I don't know. They blew it. They made it one way. She used to cut up. Used to be able to cut right through there when the traffic got bad. I used to cut right through there, and that would take me over behind the market over there, and then I would cut down on the market. And I would be able to get the back way in, but they made it a one-way street because they wanted to create problems for me, Jesse T. Hey, this is the Jesse T Show. We are out and about Los Angeles right now. Dan the man and I. Say hi. All right, thank you very much. Say hi.
Hi.
Okay, thank you very much. Say, I'll give you some money, Jesse.
I'll give you some money, Jesse.
Say, Jesse, you need $100. I'll give it to you right now.
Right now, die later.
I'm trying to get something from somebody around here.
Wednesday.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go up the hillside here, and I'll give you some history there. And when we're up there, we'll get out and walk around and see what's going on there. I don't know if we're going to be able to get into the actual area because last time I was up here, it was all 10, 12-foot fence with barbed wire up on top. But this is where the great K-Day was. Wolfman Jack worked here. You know who else worked here?
No.
The guy who was pop for payola way back in the day. The first man who was pop, who brought rock and roll.
Alan
Freed worked here. When he got out of jail for payola, and now FCC, man, they let anybody do anything now. I mean, iHeartRadio and Clear Channel, they're the biggest payola criminals in the world. But nevertheless, Alan Freed, when he got out of jail, he came to the West Coast to try to start his career over, right? Because it was over with on the East Coast. No one would hire him. So he came over here and he got a job at K-Day, and he was at K-Day. And then Wolfman Jack, when he came to Los Angeles for the first time live, he was at K-Day in the 1960s. And we met a guy named Skit. at the reunion who actually worked with Wolfman Jack. And I knew Wolfman as a child and a teenager in my early 20s before he passed away. I knew him through my godfather, Harry Newman, but he worked up here. And so many great other radio personalities, Steve Wood, Jack Patterson, Greg Mack, Roger Aldi, Lee Marshall, yours truly, the Brown Beauty on duty, Jesse T. Who else worked up here? J.J. Johnson, of course, one of the longest standing personalities in Los Angeles radio.
What about Greg Mack?
Yeah, I talked about him. Let me see, who else was up here? Spanky Allen was up here. We met Spanky. He was part of the 1970 crew. Lee Michaels, your pal, my pal Lee, who's on the morning here from 10 to 12 with a talk show here on thepowervoices.com. Lee Michaels worked up here. Jim Maddox worked up here. And the list goes on. Darla, no, she didn't work up here. She married Jack Patterson, the program director. But Bert Richardson worked up here. So many people worked up here. Brian Roberts worked up here. His name was Jared Peterson at the time. That's his real name.
What about Jimmy Maddox?
Yeah, I talked about Jim Maddox. He was up here. So, I mean, these were just so many great people. So we're coming up the road to K-Day here, and off to the right you'll see a red brick building. I'll tell you some history of this place too. Right here is where the history starts. This was a great station. It was the first station in Los Angeles that I got a chance to work actually full time. And you see, we can't get past the fences, but we're going to get out here. Get out with that one there too, Dan the man, and we'll kind of hang out here for a second and give this to her. And you got that phone, so it's on you. Anyway, this is K-Day, and this was the entrance right here to K-Day, and this was the red brick building. This is a red brick building where K-Day broadcasted live from here, and with that big open entrance there, that was a big glass window at one time. You can see these antennae. These antennae used to be so hot at one time that you could stand out in the parking lot here and you could hear them buzz. And just about every house around this neighborhood, for at least a mile to about a mile, we used to have to give these little dampeners that people would put on their phone cords and their TV and radio cords, because it would stop the interference from K-Day coming in on those cords. You could hear it, and you could also hear it on people's braces. Dan the man, what are you doing? Leave your stuff in the car. Oh, okay, I'll help you. I got to help Dan the man climb out of the car because the door. Here, I'll help you. What did you do with the phone?
It went off.
It went off? Okay, come on. You got it?
I think so, yeah.
All right, get the phone. We'll put it back on, because that's a different feed than what we got going on here. Okay, hold this. Okay.
Hi, this is the High Energy Jesse T Show.
Keep on going, baby.
Lewis is Mother Goose and up to date like a cherry phosphate. And not only that, I think it should be like my sister Kate. How about that for Pate, mate?
That's pretty good, man.
Thank you very much.
Take my job.
This is rapper Little Elvis. Thank you very much. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. On the Golden Gate, Chicago, little baby was born in ghetto, and his mama cried. We're back live. Okay. Here's the Jesse T.
Okay.
You got your key?
Yeah. Don't lock it. We're not going any farther than this fence. So as I was telling everybody, Dan the man,
yeah.
See those antenna right there?
Yeah. Antennae?
Yeah. This is the signal. The power would radiate so hot out of this antenna at the top that all the houses around here, for about a half a mile to a mile, we had Andy Laird, the greatest engineer of all time. He created these dampeners, these dampener rings. They were made out of brass and copper and with plastic. And every day the engineers would go around the houses and apartments here. People would call up to put it on their telephones, to put it on their TV cables, to put it on the radio cables. And the reason why is because if they didn't, K-Day would bounce in on everything.
Wow.
The interference was so hot. So all the houses around here, if you ever see a round gray ring the size of about a tennis ball in a house around here, if you have one and you live in this area, that's where it came from. But the antenna here, it used to be so hot that you could stand in the parking lot and hear the radio station without your radio on. yeah. And we would be broadcasting. Now, see, this was the building right there. That's the red brick building I was telling everybody. Well, that big kind of cream color open space, that used to be one big giant window. And that was the bottom entrance. And down there on that floor right there is where the studio was, the production room, the newsroom, the public relations room, the music library, and the two main studios and the transmitter, the 50,000-watt transmitter. And there. And then above here at the top of this parking lot is the main entrance. And it used to have windows too, but it doesn't anymore. You can see how they put this fence up and this barbed wire. Last time I was up here, you can see how the homeless right here, they built little foundations up here. They had nothing but homeless problems up here. A guy had a fort up here last time I was here, and you can see that right there in that respect. But we used to park over the parking lot, and a lot of shenanigans went on in the parking lot.
It's a pungent smell of marijuana.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff that goes on up here. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about K-Day in a second, because I want to kind of do the tour down here. Come on, follow me. Now, be careful coming down, okay? Take little steps and use the car. Down there, man.
Okay.
You all right? But there's these rocks, so be real careful, okay? So right here, my first day, right here, right in this area, right in this kind of circular area, right through here, right? I'm kind of doing a 360 for you. And this is the entrance to the station. Now what happened was, Dan the man, and our audience there, right here, I come out, I did the all-night shift. That was from midnight to 6 in the morning. And I come out, and it was a Sunday night shift, Sunday midnight to 6 a.m. in the morning, Monday morning. So I come out of the station, and the coroner and LAPD is sitting right here, and they have it all taped off with the yellow tape, right?
Why?
Well, the reason why
do that?
The reason why is because apparently overnight sometime somebody was murdered right where we're standing, was killed. This is like the first week that I'm working at the station, right? Yeah, Jesse T. You never know what happens in the life of the world, all in the world of Jesse T. So immediately the coppers, who are you? What are you? What were you doing? Where have you been? Where did you come from? I said, whoa, I'm the disc jockey. I'm the radio personality in the station. I was on all night long. And I come in here, and my morning guy said that you guys were out here, and you questioned him. Well, I'm Jesse T, the Brown Beauty on duty, right? That's what I told him. I was on the air. He goes, okay, you sure? I said, yeah, okay. So, okay, now that's it. So they let me go, and I went home.
Probably from Rampart.
Yeah, they were from Rampart. Yeah, absolutely, because Rampart's division used to be a lot bigger. Metro's kind of moved over in here a little bit. But anyway, what I got to stop saying anyway. So, anywho, so I go home. Now, I didn't find this out till the reunion party. The guy that was murdered here, they not only murdered him, guys, they not only murdered him, you know what they did? They cut him from the top of his throat to his groin and opened him up and ripped his heart out. That's what they did. They when you go hunting, right, and you're hunting, and it's called field dressing. So if you shoot a deer, you don't leave the deer there, and you can't carry the deer out. There's 200 pounds, and you don't know how far back you are. So what you do is you field dress it. You open it up.
Oh, they fillet it.
Yeah,
fish.
Like a butcher, right? It's easier to carry. You can pack it out and carry it. And what they did to this guy, they field dressed him right here where we're standing. I didn't find this out till about 2 weeks ago. Now we're going back 1988, mid 1980s. I didn't know that. Blew my mind when General Manager Ed Kirby told me that just a few weeks ago at the reunion.
God rest his soul.
Yeah. So now here's another thing, Dan the man, and you'll remember this. Up here, let's walk over here. Be careful now, okay? Okay. Now you see all of this brown dirt over there. All this. Where are we at? Okay, yeah. All this brown dirt over there. That grass. That was all thick ivy at one time, like that kind of water ivy. You know, those big green leafy ivy, and down below here it was all grass and ivy, okay? And this white...
Is that the Mac Senate studio right there?
Yeah, that's Mac Senate. Yeah, exactly. Now, this white fence right here...
Sounds like a gang.
The gang up here in the 1970s was called the White Fence Gang. It's one of the oldest gangs, Mexican gangs in Los Angeles, and this was their territory, so this was known as White Fence. All those guys are gone now. They fizzled out. But you'll get a kick out of this. Because this is L.A. history. This is like the Black Dahlia murder.
This is Lost L.A.
This is Lost L.A. This is like the Dahlia murder
Black Dahlia.
The Black Dahlia that we're gonna post up on Road Tripping.
The most famous unsolved crime in Los Angeles.
Yeah, but Dan the Man's guy, he knows who did it. You know who did it.
I suspect LAPD homicide detective's father. That's Steve Hodel. And George Hodel was the father, and he's got plenty of evidence.
And so what we're going to do, we're going to revisit all those crime scenes here coming up. We did a show about a year and a half ago, but so we're going to do a little more production value to this show. But right here.
That could be a dead body right there.
Yeah.
That could be a body bag.
Okay. You see those palm trees right over there? See that palm tree right over there? Okay, and then see that red truck right there?
Yeah.
And those telephone poles, those two telephone poles right there? Right there, the ivy was really thick. You can see the ivy on the fence. Can you see the ivy on the fence?
Don't tell me that was another gang, the Ivy Fence gang.
What's
going on here?
The Ivy League, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, White Fence and the Ivy League. Can you imagine that fight? No, but that's the kind of ivy that was up here. You know who they found? You know what they found up here?
I'm afraid to ask.
In the 1970s? What was one of the most infamous serial killers of the 1970s?
The Hillside Strangler.
Yes.
Or Lance Pliers Bittaker.
Right. No, Hillside Strangler, Biondi?
Yes.
Yeah, well, they found one of the bodies. Bianchi. Right up here, right where that guy's walking, right about where that guy's walking, right there. Got to remember, there was no lights here. Okay, and no traffic at night. And right down there at the end of the KTNT building, on this side of the fence, where the ivy was really thick, they found one of the murder victims.
They dumped the body all over the hillside.
Yeah, the hillside. That's why they know as the Hillside Strangler. And so they dumped the body right there at the hillside. That's an infamous story. Not too many people know that one, man.
They do now.
So right behind us, you mentioned it already. That building right there, that's Mac Senate's studio. That was one of the very first sound stages in Los Angeles. You can see how I talked about how it was built with brick. And you can see that's an original. They would never build a soundstage like that today. It would be way too expensive. But that was a soundstage, and of course that metal roof wasn't there. It was a different type of roof. Now it's a storage facility. But Don Cornelius and Soul Train, he was going to buy that. He put a bid into that, and but MTV came in and kind of took the ratings of all those dance shows, and the style, the thing about tastes of people, they changed dramatically. One last little thing up here I wanted to let you know. Dan the Man, you see that big giant mansion house sitting up there on top of the hill?
Is that called Garbage?
Yeah, right up there, that top one?
Yes.
Okay, well, and let me see you can see the clump of trees, right? And in my camera, you can see that point. You can see the clump of trees in that mansion. That up there, when that mansion was built, there were no trees. Because all these hillside trees here, this was all rolling pasture California hillside. Okay, none of these trees were here. When that mansion was built, a doctor built that mansion, and he was the lead surgeon, very famous doctor here in Los Angeles. He invented something, some medical treatment or something. I don't know quite that story, but he built that mansion.
It wasn't a lobotomy.
No, not like...
I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than a lobotomy.
What about me? You talking about me?
You must be. You're the only one here.
I don't got no lobotomy, and I don't got no bottle in front of me.
Well, you have a frontal lobotomy.
That's what a lot of people say. But that up there, that was owned by a doctor, and that's why Silver Lake, if you remember me talking earlier, was known as Pill Hill. Because of him, all his doctor friends bought all the land up there, and then, of course, the movie stars bought up there too. But that house, he passed away, went to his family, they passed away, his daughter did, I believe, and then she donated it to the Catholic Church. It became an orphanage.
Wow.
And I went up there in the 1980s. It was still owned by the Catholic Church, the Vatican. The Vatican. Okay, it was still owned by the Vatican, and it was not an orphanage anymore, but it was. They still had a lot of the pictures and stuff up there of the orphanage. But the beautiful thing about that, Dan the Man, you can see from Catalina to literally San Bernardino to Orange County from there. It was
from the desert to the sea, soulfully.
And all of Southern California.
A pleasant good evening to you.
Yes, thank you.
We are live on KTNT Radio and TV.
This is Jesse Torrero reporting live from the site at 1580 KD, reminiscing and talking about the past with Dan the Man.
Fun reminiscing.
Yeah, it is. A lot of fun in there. So everybody,
Recruiters, cowboys to girls.
Everybody came through here. The Gap Band, the Daz Band, the OJs, the Temps, Shaka Khan, Kumo, D, MC Hammer, Biggie Small. Well, Biggie wasn't here yet. He wasn't a big star yet.
Notorious B.I.G.
Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, Young MC, Tone Loc, Fat Boys, JJ Fad, Queen Latifah.
I get no satisfaction, so I asked this guy who's fly. He said that Funky Cole Medina.
Absolutely, and who else came through? I mean, everybody came through this in the 70s.
Bust a move. Young MC.
That's right, Young MC.
Next day high class function. Just bust a move.
Man, I didn't know you knew rap so well.
I'm Little Elvis.
Hey.
Thank you very much.
Unbelievable, man. You are a multi-talented linguistical music man.
I'm one of the flying Elvises.
Oh, no! There goes Down the Man! All right. Shall we go to our next destination?
Yes.
Okay.
Watch out for the cards.
Here comes the cards. Here comes the judge. Here comes the judge. Flip Wilson.
In session. Here comes the judge. Here comes the judge.
All right, so we're moving on to our next destination. And as we're catching the vibe today of Los Angeles and some interesting points to talk about. Phone, okay, and you open the door, and then I'll hold the door. God, look at these, man. I'm like holding everything here. Yes, right. Okay. Hi, guys. All right. Are you having fun? Thanks a lot. Saying hi to Jason Chase, Jason Course. Lender Home's out with us. Izzy Camarillo. James Saltenright. Mr. Saltenright. Mr. Saltenright. Hey, Mr. Saltenright, how you doing? Mr. Saltenright is a family friend of mine that I've known my whole life. He's actually known me my whole life, Mr. Saltenright. And let's see here. Okay. Uh-oh. Did I lose this? Let's hit him again. Okay. Yeah, hey, James, hey, Mr. Saltenright, how you doing? Yeah, we're up here just doing the Jesse T Show live on remote and making lots of noise right here. We are moving around a lot on that camera, that's for sure. We lost our other feed here, so I'm back with you guys here. So we're headed over to another hot location here, and I'll be back with you in a second. Take over, Dan the Man.
Filming the high energy Jesse T Show, and we're road tripping.
Yeah, we are road tripping. We're catching the vibe today, and I'm glad you talked about that. I lost my feed over here, so I think Lee is probably, we're probably gone there. I'll try calling him one more time.
Hi, Gigi.
Okay, we'll see what he does. I don't know if we're connected. I'm not going to worry about it.
You can't be connected.